But you're probably thinking, well, why am I talking about you fulfilling your potential, you educating other people, getting out there, sharing your knowledge and experience? Well, this needs to happen because we need to tackle the global pandemic, which is bullshit optimization. This might seem a bit dramatic, and it might seem a little bit like, is this really the case? But it genuinely is. You won't be hearing this kind of poor content and poor knowledge and experience at this conference, but out there in the wider industry, there really is an uprising of people and of businesses that are jumping on the bandwagon of data-driven conversion optimization, but have no real understanding and appreciation of what it means to do this truly well. And we have this opportunity, and it's got to come from education and enlightenment. But you may be just thinking, well, Paul, this is probably just you. I think you've been a bit dramatic now. This is, maybe it's not too bad, and why can't we just carry on doing our jobs, working in our companies, doing a great job, doing fantastic conversion optimization? Well, the benefit for all of us to tackle this is that what we'll be helping to create is better businesses to work within. We'll be helping to educate decision makers so more and better conversion optimization can be done within business. And we'll also be helping other people, your colleagues, other people that we're working alongside, to really understand what this is about. And ultimately, we'll have a more enjoyable time in our jobs and in our careers. So there's a benefit for us all to help kind of mature the whole industry. But as I say, this isn't just me saying this, or me just in my mystical land of there's a pandemic going on out there. What I did about 8 months ago, I went out to the other industry thought leaders, Pep, Craig Sullivan, Brian Eisenberg, Ollie Gardner, Tim Ash, Angie Schottmuller, Talia Wolf, and I asked them all the same single question. And I said, in all your years of experience, what do you feel is holding companies back from growing through conversion optimization? And it was really interesting because literally within the same day, I was getting emails back from the thought leaders. And these are all the people that I asked the same question to. So I didn't need to go pushing them and chasing them for a response. They all came flooding back with their responses. And they were really passionate responses because I was asking them the question of what they're seeing day in, day out. And it's like why they're banging their head against a brick wall. So I was almost giving them this opportunity. So what I'm just going to share over the next few slides is just some of the key insights of what a few different people have shared. And what we've got, we've put all these insights into a book, which there's actually a few copies under some of your chairs. So if you just want to have a quick look, you might be one of the lucky few with a copy of the growth strategy that's been ignored. Sorry, none of the speakers are included. So it's everyone else. Yay! So there's about 20 books scattered about. So yeah, just hold up if you've got a copy. People are passing copies about. Great. So these are just some of the insights from that book. So let's just start with seen as like the godfather of conversion rate optimization, Brian Eisenberg. And he talks about how conversion optimization should not be seen as a tactic, and it should be embedded within the culture of businesses. Absolute, complete kind of disparity. And we see this all the time. Roger Dooley, I think, as you might expect, being the kind of founder of a lot of the whole Persuasion and Brain Influence podcast, he just talks about how there's a lack of focus on the customer's non-conscious mind. Angie Schottmuller, this was an interesting take that she had. And she was talking about there's a lack of an understanding of the customer, but not the end customer, the customer being the businesses that are looking to bring conversion optimization in. And when companies jump into it too quickly, it can lead to almost disaster, or it can just lead to conversion optimization not being embedded within that business. And at the end, she talks about how the industry status quo needs improvement. And it absolutely does. I completely agree with Angie on this point. We have Andre, who quite succinctly puts that due to the ego of optimizers, probably about 90% of tests that are delivered are a lie. I'm sure that what we're here today, we're representing the other 10%. But there's a lot of tests out there that There's just a fundamental lack of kind of intelligence behind the test and an understanding of statistics. And then myself in the book, this is me like summarizing my 10, 12 years experience in user experience and conversion optimization. And it's the fact that so many companies are talking the talk when it comes to conversion optimization, yet so few of them are walking the walk. And I'll give you the one probably huge example that is so influential and so important for true conversion optimization, and it's about being customer-centric. So most businesses now say they're customer-centric. Absolutely great. We go into some of our clients' businesses and they have customer insight, like customer-driven messages spread throughout their company. So you look at all these statements through their business and you think, fantastic. When I ask these same businesses, when was the last time you spoke to some of your customers or potential customers one-to-one? Just sat with them, watched them use your website, watched them use your competitors. Things start to go a little bit quieter, and we hear, oh, it was about 12 months ago or maybe 18 months ago. So they're a customer-centric business, apparently, yet they've just hardly ever, or not in the last 12 months, actually spoke one-to-one to their customers to understand what's driving them and what's motivating them. So that's just one key example of the big disparity. And then we have Craig. In some ways, I feel sorry for Craig, because Craig will be sat here watching me today thinking to himself, Paul, I've been saying these things for about 5 or 6 years, and absolutely, like Craig has, it's so far ahead of his time. And what Craig's been talking about for 5, 6 years is about the Gartner hype cycle of A/B testing and the fact that so many companies are stuck in the unproductive part, where there's no learnings, there's no growth, there's no real impact from testing. We see it all the time. Companies have been testing for 1, 2 years, and there's just no impact. Some companies are even pulling back on testing because it's just seen as not for them. So, yeah, Craig's been saying this, but it's still apparent now. And as Angie said, the status quo needs to be changed. This needs to be addressed, or else Craig will just be saying this and banging his head against a brick wall in another 5 years' time, which I do not want to see. But why is it happening? Why are we still just going through this cycle? And why are we not just seeing this kind of uprising and this whole maturity of the industry getting to where it should be? And John Ekman and he just summarized it as this, that companies are jumping onto conversion optimization. They're jumping onto the bandwagon of conversion optimization. And this is the companies themselves, alongside pretty much every other digital agency that's now offering conversion optimization. But these people and these companies are just not getting into it. They're not getting under the nuts and bolts and really wanting to do this correctly. And then just to finish on Pep's comment, again, I think you were probably one of the first to come back, very passionately put back that I think there was the word bullshit in part of your answer about bullshit content that's out there. But I think what I've pulled out here is the fact that so many people think that they know what they're doing, and it's such a big problem because the reality is, unfortunately, these people don't know what they're doing. So this is where the whole education piece comes in and the enlightenment piece. Yourselves here, again, are so far ahead of the vast majority of the industry, and we can either choose to kind of keep things to ourselves, or we can choose to help to tackle this and help to tackle the other things that are going on in the industry. So the book, there's a few copies under some of your chairs. We've got a hashtag for the book, and it's growth leaders. And you'll see the hashtag, I'll put it on every slide. The industry needs more growth leaders. There's a potential for yourselves, genuinely, to become a growth leader. And now, I'm not meaning you need to be thinking suddenly you need to be traveling around the world, industry thought leader, running a big agency. That's one form of leadership. Leadership can come at any level of your personal career, your personal development. It can happen just within your business. You can become a leader within your business, someone that's educating and inspiring other people. So this isn't just for the elite. And so I'd really like you to kind of think about this. When you're thinking about your personal role within your company, within your agency, can you offer more? Can you share your knowledge and experience with other people? Can you potentially inspire other people? But to do this, to go on this potential journey of fulfilling your potential and having a bigger, wider impact on the people around you and the industry, you'll have to be the change. you'll have to change the way you approach things. You'll have to become open-minded. You'll have to face up to some of your fears, potentially. So what I thought I could best do for this talk now is to share with you some of the key things that have influenced me and my life and my career that have led to me being up on this stage today. And I hope in some way you can take some of the learnings I've had to make that maybe are relevant for yourself and that maybe can help you to push yourself out there and to just to do more for yourself and move outside of what is probably your comfort zone. So the first story, this is me on the right-hand side. I used to be called the young Paolo Maldini, left back. But I was invited when I was 10 years old to join a new football team that was being set up, which was great. I was very passionate about football. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I'll join this team. The only problem as such was that the division that we were joining was the under-12s division, and we were all 10 years old. So we were going to be a year younger than the rest of the players. But at that age, you don't worry about that. You're just going to get your kit on and get stuck in. So we started playing every week. We started losing every week. When we lost one game, about halfway through the season, 18-0, genuinely, pretty demoralizing. It's not exactly teaching you to, about success and winning mentality. And it was at that stage, that game, 18-0, where some of the parents went up to the two managers and they said to the managers, he said, why are you doing this? Why didn't you just wait till next year when we're all going to be a year older and we'll just join at under-12s division and it's a level playing field? Why are you putting my son through this? This isn't healthy. He's not enjoying his weekend. He's losing every week. And the managers simply said, we're planning for next year. We knew we weren't going to get instant success, but we brought a new team together. We're planning ahead. We're looking ahead to next year. So we're playing together. We're learning our roles. We're getting people in the right position. And then next year, we'll be stronger. And we'll have a better chance when we're playing against the teams at the same age as us. So that was like, well, okay, yeah, there was probably a little bit of belief there in the management that maybe they had a plan, but we carried on for the rest of the season, losing every week. It was just fortunate that it wasn't a division below us because we would have been relegated. So what this experience actually led to, you're probably wondering, so what happened the next season? Was it another disaster? Well, what happened was that we won the league. Absolute transformation. And in the last 12, 18 months, I've been thinking back about this experience. When I'm thinking about businesses and I'm thinking about the businesses bringing conversion optimization and companies jumping into it, not getting into it, not getting the foundations in place, or just trying to just run ahead with themselves without getting the crucial things in place. This was a core lesson for me about really the importance of hard work and of dedication and of planning ahead, not just expecting immediate success. So just bringing it back to yourselves, if you start to become open-minded about the potential of pushing yourself, expanding yourself, going outside your comfort zone, recognize and understand that it's hard work. It's hard work to become a growth leader or someone where you're inspiring or educating other people. Don't just expect it to happen overnight. You've got to plan ahead and play the long game, and you've got to have determination. So that's the first thing I'd like you to just kind of think about and not lose sight of. Don't expect things to just happen quickly, but plan ahead, and it can pay off. So there's one thing having planning ahead and knowing that you're going to plan ahead and you're going to get your foundations in place. But alongside that, you need to have ambition. If we don't have ambition, then you're probably going to sit in a comfort zone and not push yourself out there. Now, the very fact that you've all traveled to Estonia, Tallinn, to be at this conference for 3 days tells me that there's probably a lot of ambitious people in this room. You're wanting to learn from the best. You're wanting to progress your career. So I just want to see that, to see if that's actually the case or if I'm just imagining things. So just for a few seconds, any of you who feel that you're an ambitious person, could you just stand up just for a few seconds? I see a bit of social proof coming in now, the follower effect. There is, I think we've probably got nearly everyone stood up. So yeah, thank you very much. That is, it's very much It's very much what I expected to see, and it supports my thought that this couldn't be a better audience for me to be sharing these stories with and trying to advocate yourselves, maybe becoming a growth leader. So that's fantastic. Having ambition is so important, but there's a challenge that you'll potentially face, and it's a challenge that I faced in my career, in my kind of earlier career. And that is when you're ambitious, when you're wanting to push yourself out there, when you're wanting to go beyond or have a bigger influence, you're very likely to come up against people that are above you, typically within a business, that are afraid of you, that are afraid of your ambition. And I would probably summarize these kind of people that are within every single business almost as the hippo, the highest paid person. Now, they don't always need to be the person at the top of the business. This can be the person that's lower down, but typically it's the people that are managing us that can often be afraid of us and can be afraid of our ambition. And I've experienced this in my 2 previous roles before I went out on my own. And 2 previous roles ago, when I had an opportunity to move into a new role within a business, and it was the start of their e-commerce team. So I was going to be their first web designer about 15 years ago within the same business. And I thought, fantastic opportunity. I want to push myself. E-commerce sounds like there's good kind of potential to get into that industry. The manager I had at the time, when I told her that I wanted to move on and take up this new opportunity and apply, she said, I think you're being very selfish, Paul. And that isn't a kind of a true leadership quality of someone. If someone's looking to kind of push themselves and progress themselves, and if it's a case of moving on, you shouldn't be negative towards them. You shouldn't be saying, well, you're being selfish. I wasn't being selfish. I was being ambitious. I wanted to move into this new role. And then the role I ended up moving into, which was a web design, e-commerce, user experience role, it was actually the last 2 years that I was within this business, and it was a big corporate business. And I had big aspirations for myself. I wanted to move up the ladder. I wanted to have a bigger influence in the business. And unfortunately, again, the manager that I had made my last 2 years there, which was the 2 years that led me to go out on my own, so frustrating. I can't, it's hard to kind of get into words how I felt, because as I was trying to move up the ladder, as I was trying to push myself out there, as I was trying to have a bigger influence and take on more responsibility, my manager just kept me, she just wanted to keep me in the place I was at. She didn't want to let me flourish. And I think there was a lot of fear there. Whether it was fear that I was going to overtake her or something like that, but I really hope for yourself, to kind of summarize this, that keep your ambition. Fantastic to see so many people stand up. But don't let other people hold you back. You are going to come up against people that are going to question you and that are going to put you down and to maybe make you feel a bit negative or make you feel like maybe you can't do what you're wanting to do. Do not let other people hold you back, because your ambition is stronger than other people's fear. So hold on to your ambition. Now, so we talked about determination and long-term planning. We talked about ambition. Now, the third thing is so important to kind of keep within you, and I hope that all of you have this in you already. And it's going to be a story I'll just share. And it was about 8 or 9 years ago, and I was asked to do a user research project for a housing association company in the UK. And it was on their intranet system. So I decided and I suggested that I'll go out to all their different offices to meet their different employees using the intranet system to obviously understand how they're using it, how it can be improved. And so at the London regional office, which was one of the 8 areas that I went in and I was seeing a few of their members of staff. And one of these sessions, I went in, this lady came in the room, and I could tell she was very apprehensive. She didn't really have any confidence as she came into the room. And she even said when she sat down, she said, I've been asked to come into this session, but I don't think I'll have anything of value to add, but I've been asked, so here I am. So I could tell she was she had very low self-esteem. So I did the research session. It was about an hour long. Through the first 10, 15 minutes, I tried to give her confidence, to make her feel valued, and her opinions did matter. And about halfway through this session, something really, really special happened that has stuck with me ever since. She'd built up a bit of confidence, and I was asking her about a certain area of the intranet. And she said, to be honest, I've always thought that if we could do this within our intranet system, and this idea it was about helping the whole communication between their group improve. And it was like an innovative, creative idea. It was fantastic. It's not an idea that I could have come up with as an external consultant. None of their other staff that I'd been speaking to had suggested this, but I knew that there was some real substance behind this idea. And I said, that is such a great idea. That's something that we'll probably look to explore more. And it's a feature that ended up going into their live intranet system. So that was halfway through the session, but at the end of the session, as we were finishing off, she stopped and she said, Paul, can I just say something to you? Can I just say how much I value what you've done for me today by giving me this opportunity to share my ideas? It means so much to me. But I was still wondering what she meant by this. And she said, when I'm at home with my husband, he tells me, don't bother bringing ideas and sharing ideas because my ideas are worthless. This is genuine. And she was almost, you could tell, slightly emotional that her life was about not sharing her ideas. But what this proved to me, and which I'd kind of known over the previous years, but is so important for me and for every one of you, is to have humility. It's to have humility and know that we don't have all the answers. However, as you're going down this journey, as you're becoming more respected, you're having a bigger influence potentially, never lose sight of the fact that other people have more experience than you can learn from other people. And then when it comes to conversion optimization, which is obviously what we're talking about, never underestimate the value of speaking to the end user and giving them the opportunity, however much they have low self-belief and have never been able to share their ideas, never lose sight of the importance of giving people the opportunity to share their best ideas. So humility is so important. And now in humility, what we're going to do here, we're going to reinvent the hippo, which has got such negative connotations. So rather than it being a case of, sorry, I'll just have this ice. Rather than it being a case of we need to shoot the hippo, we need to get rid of the hippo from businesses, I want to reinvent the hippo. And it's introducing different characteristics within business, but also within ourselves individually. And these are the kind of personality traits, the characteristics that I would like to, for us all, to be looking at this. And hopefully you'll be looking at these thinking, well, yeah, this kind of describes me. Yeah, and that's fantastic. If these are things that you kind of live by, that is fantastic. These characteristics and personality traits are so important within business as well. Having integrity, being passionate about what we're doing, and being positive. Again, it's like the positive story from having the football team. We were positive that it was going to come good. But it's the last point that I just want to focus in on now, about being open. And again, for yourselves, if you're starting to think about going down this journey around becoming a growth leader, to having an influence, one thing you will have to do, you will have to become open-minded about facing up to your fears. And facing up to your fears in particular would be about public speaking. Now, we know as humans, public speaking is seen as one of the most fearful things we can do, similar to fear of heights and fear of spiders. It's just a natural thing that we have within us. Just for a few seconds, if you just imagine for a minute that you're not just in this audience now listening to me speak, but that you're actually going to be up here on this stage speaking this afternoon. Just kind of, obviously we've got speakers who are doing that anyway, so they're probably absolutely fine. But for the rest of you, just imagine that you're coming up here this afternoon. It's probably understandable. You might be feeling a little bit nervous by now, a little bit of apprehension. You might have a few nagging self-doubts coming in, questioning, am I going to do myself justice? Am I going to forget my lines? Am I going to live up to expectation? It's a natural thing to feel. Now, what I've just described to you there is where I was 12 months ago. I've been speaking for quite a long time, but that's exactly how I felt, and I was speaking on day one, feeling just like that. And what I've since gone on to learn about is that this feeling of insecurity almost, or of not feeling that maybe you deserve this opportunity, is something that affects so many of us, and it affects particularly ambitious people. And it's called imposter syndrome. And so many of you have probably experienced it, maybe without knowing this. And it is that fear that maybe you don't deserve what you've got, and it's just been a chance of different circumstances that have led you to getting to where you have. Now, this is our mind playing tricks on us, and it's it's something that I've had to face up to, and it's a real challenge, like my imposter syndrome, and I'm still working through that. And for me, when I first put myself into the spotlight was back in 2008. And my business was just 2 people. We'd not done any marketing nor marketing strategy. And he invited a lady fresh out of university into my business to basically come up with a bit of our first marketing strategy. And at the end of this summer placement, she came back to me and she presented her short and long-term vision for the kind of the marketing strategy for PRWD. And she was talking about how you need to start getting out there and sharing your learnings and experiences to deliver training and to do public speaking. Now, this filled me with huge dread. The one time in my life before then I'd done public speaking was in front of 30 people on my wedding day. And that was probably quite a good audience to kind of speak against. So this was a real me having to be open-minded to face up to my fears. And it was about 8 months later that I finally faced up to my fears. And this was the event in January 2009, Usability, What's the Use? I'd kind of make a big thing out of the fact that it was sold out, but then the fact that it was free probably isn't anything to write home about. But we did get pretty much a full show, which was fantastic. And this was my first time speaking back in 2009, facing up to my fears. So for yourself, it's being open-minded to potentially the progression of your career and progression of your journey of fulfilling your potential to potentially end up doing public speaking, because public speaking is the most powerful and influential way to inspire and educate other people. And we need more people like that, and public speaking isn't going to go away in various ways of life. This isn't just about the conversion optimization industry. So I hope that in some way you can maybe think, maybe you can also face up to your fears. And then just a second thing that happened back in 2009, I read this phenomenal book. Just a quick show of hands, who's read this book? I know there's going to be at least one hand. I'd recommend other people read it. It's an easy read. It doesn't take too long, but it's had a really big impact and influence on me and my business and how I approach things. And just one of the pages in here very much fitted with this whole idea of getting yourself out there and inspiring other people. And it was a page, and it just said, out-teach your competition. And the page went on to explain how so many companies and so many people just tend to keep all their ideas to themselves. It's like the black box. And they're afraid of sharing other things, of putting themselves out there because they think, well, other people will copy me. But no, that isn't the case. When you're getting out there and you're being a leader and you're showing and sharing your knowledge, you gain more respect from doing that. And whether you're working within an agency, and as an agency you want your agency to have more visibility and more respect in the industry, that is fantastic. But also if you're working within a business as well, potentially aspire to be a business like Airbnb or Booking.com who are sharing their key insights about their strategy and culture within their business. So when you're working in a business, you can also share knowledge to the outside world. You can help educate other people and decision makers. So Rework is such a fantastic book. But then there's habits. So it's facing up to your fears. But something that you will probably, the more and more you push yourself out there, the more that your belief in yourself will potentially come under question, particularly with your mind. As I mentioned about imposter syndrome, it affects so many of us. And this video, for me, for imposter syndrome, I'd recommend just taking it down or having a look. This video has been hugely influential for me. And something in this video on YouTube that is something that I'd like you to really remember, and it certainly stuck with me, is that when you're progressing yourself, becoming more influential, what you can often do is you start to look ahead of yourself. You start to look at the people that are ahead of you, that are more experienced. And I've certainly done that. And you kind of question yourself against other people to think, well, I'm never going to have as much experience as Craig, as an example. But what imposter syndrome in this video talks about, this guy, he talks about stop looking ahead of yourself and stop beating yourself up that you're not as experienced as the next person. Look behind you at the other people that are learning from you, that you're educating and that you're inspiring. Don't stop worrying about what's ahead. Just look at the people that you're influencing behind you. So, Vancouver International Airport. This is, I was there 12 months ago, and I've been with Andre, I've been with John Ekman, I've been with Chris Goward on this annual meeting. And I suppose a bit of the imposter syndrome was kicking in a little bit, my kind of looking ahead rather than looking behind me. And I was at the airport, ready to come home. And I was determined to try and understand about my belief and about instilling more belief in myself. And I was just in a coffee shop in the airport, and I searched on YouTube for how to instill more belief in yourself. This is just me. I'm just being very honest. I've got very low self-esteem. I know it might be surprising up here now, but I genuinely do, and you can ask my wife. And I found this video, and I was watching this video, and I had tears running down my face in this coffee shop in Vancouver Airport. A guy opposite me, probably wondering, blimey, is he scared of flying, or is he just watching some romantic comedy or something? But what I was actually doing is watching a video about the law of attraction. Now, hands up who's heard or familiar with the law of attraction? A few people, yeah? There's too much for it to go into now. I suppose if I had to summarize the law of attraction, it's about if you think in positive terms, positive things will happen to yourself. If you think negatively, you will bring on negative things. It's about the state of mind, and it's about having belief and confidence in yourself. And this is a video that I watched that day that made me cry, and I feel it's a gift for me for other people to also watch this video, because it's helped me significantly, and I hope that it could do the same for you as well, because imposter syndrome and law of attraction are they're fairly broad things. They're not things that you'll be talking about in general day-to-day work, but it's when we're talking about fulfilling our potential, these are two things that you need to understand and appreciate and learn about. So that's about having belief in yourself. But this is actually from our home. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. But 2 days before my first speaking conference in 2009, Usability, What's the Use? I rang someone, and I said to them, can you ring the event, the event host, Manchester Digital, can you ring them and tell them that I just can't, Paul's not available, he's ill, so he's not going to be able to speak at this first conference. So this person said to me, absolutely no way. There is no way I'm doing that. This is so important for you. You can do it. You're obviously just having a crisis of confidence. I am not making that phone call. You're going to do this. It's so important. And that one person, that was my wife. And this final thing is about however much belief you have in yourself, you need to have someone close to you that believes in you more than you believe in yourself. And I hope that all of you have that someone. Now, that can be one of your colleagues that you work alongside. It can potentially be your manager. And if it's your manager, fantastic, because it's the kind of manager that I didn't have. And it's the kind of manager that will want you to fulfill your potential. Or it could be your husband, your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, or one of your parents. But that is so important, and I really hope all of you have that someone that's at the side of you, that's helping you on this journey. So just to summarize around fulfilling your potential whilst maturing our industry, to not lose sight of it, that's what this is about, but it's about personal growth as well, not just helping the industry mature. Having the dedication, putting in the hard work, planning for long-term success, being ambitious, but do not let other people hold you back, because they are out there, and you'll come up against them, and you need to push past them. Maintain humility throughout. Just respect and value other people, whether that's your colleagues or the users that you're designing experiences for. Never lose sight of that at all. Have guts to overcome your fears and share your experience and ideas. Face up to potentially your imposter syndrome. Have belief in yourself. Think long term, and you can be successful, and you can be more successful than you are today. But then finally, having that someone there to support you, that is there, that believes in you more than you believe in yourself, is so important. So now we come to a decision, a crossroads. I would summarize this as, do the best, just keep getting better. And when I say the best, this is like yourself, genuinely, you've come here. Do you just keep getting better? Or do the best, help the rest get better and create a better industry that we're working alongside? So the football story, I didn't give you the full story, unfortunately, because what happened is we won the league, which was fantastic. We we got the just rewards for hard work and dedication, but it was on that day when we won the league where I started to become an alcoholic. But that's maybe for another talk about my alcoholism. But no, what actually happened is actually even more important. And just going back to yourselves and putting this dedication and going down this path, what happened over the next 4 years after winning the league for the first time is, I think it just says a lot about potentially the personal success, because this is what happened over the next 4 years in my team, Moss Bank. We won the league every single year, and we won the double 3 out of the 4 years. And I even won Player of the Year one season, which was great. But I think that's just a little indication of what kind of bigger success or longer-term personal success can mean for yourself. So thank you very much for listening, and thank you for the people again who came up.